Hey guys, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and thanks for coming back for the second part of hopefully 2, and not the second part of 3. But that's neither here nor there right now because I don't know. We'll see how this pans out. But if you saw the first part, this part picks up exactly where the next step was at the end of that part, which is putting in the middle stabilizer bar that goes across the entire surface of the back of the panel. Enjoy, sit back, grab a drink maybe, you know, tea, water, soda, beer, whatever, and hopefully this helps somebody or gives you an idea of what went into my build, why I did what I did, and whether or not something like this would fit for you. So hope you enjoy. If you got anything along the way, go ahead and put them down in the comment section. I'll probably ask you if you got any questions or comments at the end too. So let's get back to the bin. So now we've got this beam here that's going to be sat here as a cross brace just to keep the door strong, and all of the walls are built the same way. And what we're going to do is, I've already got these marked off for where I'm going to cut off with a saw, and it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, just close enough. And if I have to make any kind of like you know, slight cuts or alterations to the initial cut, that's fine too. We just want this to be able to tie into every single board that we have here. That way the door can hold up to not only the weight of the compost pushing against it, but storms and high winds and everything else that might come its way. So let's go ahead and do this. Now this is probably going to be loud, so I will either try to edit it out or I'll just mute it the whole time. Plus we've got my neighbor cutting their lawn now, so we've got that extra auditory stuff going on. All right, first cut. All right, now that we've got that done, let's check the CR fitment. And what do you know, it's not bad. I don't think I need to mess with that too much. I mean, is it 100% perfect, like completely flush? No. But does it have to be? I say no. Yeah, we're good. So let me go ahead and set up to do the drilling so we can tie this piece of wood into the door. We're going to go ahead and put in our screw holes just like we did for the other boards. But this time I'm going to use a different screw since I can have more depth here. And I'm only going to put one in here. So there's one there. And you know what? I'm just going to go for it instead of doing what I've been doing. So I've got these longer ones here, and we're gonna skip going to the other side. I just want to get this side set in nice and firmly so that when I work on the other side, I don't have to worry about it moving on me. So I'm gonna go ahead . Ow. This is a hole, right? Yeah. There we go. I got the hole started. Switch out the drill bit for the screw. Put the screw in. There it goes. And go for it. There we go. We're in. So now we just got to do all that all over again on the other side to secure it. And I'm going to do it over here. Alright, so now we've got that. Put this bit back in. Alright, here we go. Getting this way now. All the way in and out. Okay. Take this bit to round off and basically end up doing like almost like a pocket screw or a pocket hole. There we go. And now this is as deep as we can get this, because I have an extension for this, but I don't know where it's at right this second. And there we go, locked in. So now all we gotta do is just flip it over and put the screws into each board. Basically the same process we did already. Yeah, this board here is split, but not much we can do about that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do all that now without making you guys watch all the way through it. Now, as you can see, now that we've got the cross base or the cross piece screwed down to each and every board, everything's nice and tight, and we should not have any screws that are poking through to cause us harm later on in the process of building. So with that, we've got 4 walls done. The only thing I got left to do now is build the lid, but really I don't necessarily need the lid right this second. I could always move on to putting on the weed fabric first and then getting that applied to all sides. So that's probably what I'll end up doing next. But like I said, either way, you'll still see that part and the whole lid being built too. So what we have here now is 3 of the sides that are completed together, and we're mocking this up really just so I can have the correct dimensions for the lid that's going to be replacing this. Now, for each corner that I'm going to be doing, including the front, what I'm doing is I found a very, very good use for these pieces that are basically the studs that are from the pallets. And this is why I don't throw anything away until after I'm completely finished, because I would have probably normally just thrown these away thinking that I wasn't going to use them, but here I am using them. So what I did is, and I've got 2 of them here on this corner. I've only got 1 here because I'm going to show you what I did to get this set up and freestanding. So I took one of these and I looked at where it needed to be. So for instance, this one I had to cut it approximately right here. So from here over is the wood that I'm using in the corner. Once you get this piece down on the bottom, it pretty much locks it in. I mean, I've only got what, 3 sides on and only half this side on so far, and it's pretty solid right now. So luckily I was able to find from a different project that I had some 3-inch screws, and those 3-inch screws, I'm having to drill a pocket hole into these, basically this, in order to get it all the way through from this piece of wood into here. So at the bottom, I'm not really going to need to drill as deep as I did these ones. These ones are pretty much halfway through. This one's about a quarter of the way through since it has nothing to go into. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. And the first step I need to do is figure out how much of this is wasteful or that I can cut off. So let me bring you down here low and we'll find that out. So now that we're down low, I'm gonna grab my pencil and my square. I have no idea where my pencil went to, guys. Oh well, I won't need it. Oh, here it is. So here we go. I'm coming down here to the ground with you guys too. So when we do this, because the ground is a little unlevel over there, I added or gave myself a little bit of clearance, because this will be on the high side, the other side directly across from it will be on the low side. So if I have any issues with trying to get that ground level over there, I gave myself the cheat that I can have this be on the shorter or the high side and the other side be on the low side, and it should still be square up and down. But anyways, what we need to know now is, once we pull these back, and this is the hard part, when you start to get close, everything starts to stiffen up on you. Okay, so what we need to know is how much of this board can we cut off and still attach it. So it looks to me like we're just past this curve here. So what I'm going to do is mark it roughly about here with a pencil, and then I'll draw my line out, which I guess I can do it now, even though this is not going to be completely straight this whole time, so I can have you see it. Oh well, we'll just do it this way. I'll hold on to it, I'll do the line, and then I'll show you guys. So we got it right about where it needs to be. Yep. Yeah, I advise you not to do this in freehand if you're trying to get it as, I guess, accurate. Alright, that's good enough. So now you might be able to see the line that I put on there. And it's not completely level, I know that for a fact, just looking at it. But that's okay, I'll fix that up in the next step. And the next step is cutting this off with a circular saw. Alright, now off camera I went ahead and I cleaned up my line a little bit on this piece. It's not going to be perfect, it doesn't absolutely have to be perfect. I will say, do as I say, not as I do. I'm doing this with a circular saw freehand, which I can guarantee you is not the safe and approved method of doing it. But since I am here and I know pretty much what I want to do, and I'm willing to take my own personal safety at my own hands, I'm going to keep doing it. So let's go ahead and cut this off. There we have it. So now that we've got this piece, this is the piece, and it's now been cut. What we've got to do is measure. Well, actually I got to measure and I got to drill. So roughly, we're going to lift this up so that it's even with this. So for instance, this screw we want here, roughly. Make sure there's no nails. That's the other thing you got to worry about with these. Any nails that you ended up having to cut off are going to likely be in your way. So we're going to say that's right there. Where's my pencil at? We're going to mark these down first. We're going to measure, and measure again. That way when I make my holes, I only have to do that once and not mess up a good piece of wood. Alright, so we're roughly there. Okay, see, there's a prime example. All of these have nails in them. Well, these ones don't, but all of these down here have nails in them. And my line that I did is right smack dab in the middle, so I'm going to avoid some of those nails. There's also nails in this one, and that one I'm going to have to try to avoid. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. But we're going to try to anyway. So now that we've got that one, now we're going to need one that goes into here. And we've got a hole here, so ideally I would like to put it down here at the bottom. Which, you know what? Let's switch that up. We're not going to do this first one here. We're going to go to the bottom on this one because there's absolutely no nails down there. So get this lined up approximately right here on the corner where it's going to be strongest, and we avoid the nails there. And then here I'm going to go above the screw that's here, so roughly about this high on that side, and then another one we're going to do up here. There's no nails to worry about up here, so we're roughly going to do another screw here, and then the fourth screw is going to come in somewhere around, let's see, we got that there, so the fourth one's going to come around here. Those all look like they're good. So let's get back to the table and we'll measure out all these spots and then we'll start drilling. Okay, so now we've got all of our spots labeled out here. So this one is going to be here, so we're going to do this. Put that where it's at. We want it somewhere in this general area. So more than likely, I'll do it right here, where that cross is, down here. I gotta do another one for these. So let's see, go all the way across. I think from memory, it's safe if I go right about here. And then for this one, we just need to go all the way to the other side, and then we're going to flip it over to figure out where we're going to put these screws. Okay, now that we've got that, line up where the hole, or where the line is on the corner. There's that one. Line up the line here. Sure. There you go. So now we know roughly what elevation we're doing our screw holes, but we got to check this again to see, and I'm basically eyeballing it truthfully, but make sure that the places we have these X's are good spots where there's actual wood for the screws to bite into, and then these two, making sure we're dodging. Oh, wait a minute, no, I messed up. Really messed up. This is why I always check my work, because that one is going here, so I didn't really need that one. This is the one I need, because these are on the top and bottom, so it's a good thing I did that, because I already knew I was going to mess up. Alright, so see how this hole here, that's from a nail that I pulled. Oh snap though, hold on. Well, you did not avoid all the... Okay, it might be clear. We might be clear. But there's a hole there from a nail, so that might be a problem. But if it is, we'll adjust on the fly. let's go back down to the bottom. So now, we know that we're putting these screws in here, and these two that are this X and this X look like they're gonna work. Now this one, once I may start here because I've got to pull this out, and once I've got the screws into here, it'll help pull that side out, and then it'll help me set the screws that are going to go through the side here to attach it to this board. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and drill my holes, and then I'll be back when it's time to put them in. Alright guys, sorry if I jumped ahead a little bit, but these holes were giving me a fit, especially going into here, but they're in now, so you can still see that I drilled out the hole big enough for the screw head to go in, and I went ahead and put that one in and that one in. So these ones happen to be a little bit easier, so I'm still able to show you exactly what my process is to get them in. What I've done is, you guys saw me do the holes, I believe, and so just like this side over here, these are the holes that I need. They're going to go into here. These are already flush, as you can see. So now we're going to make the hole big enough to hide the head. So that should be big enough to hide the head inside of the hole. And to make sure that, because these screws only go in so far, so the further I can get them in here, the more bite that both of these, or the more bite that this screw has on both of these pieces of wood. So let's go ahead and drill it. Alright, and like I said, I'm not the one to be here and showing you, oh, this is the proper way to do this is the proper way to do that. No, this is my way of getting through it, which may be, backwards or not correct, but it gets the job done. That's all that matters. So now that I'm pulling these two closer, and we're going to drive this home. There's that one. Alright, here we go. Driving it. Alright. And we are in. So there we go. That side is in. Everything's nice and locked in. Alright, so what you have here is all four sides done. On the screen you got 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is right here. And then we also have the lid done. Now, for the lid, this is an easy example of me to show you exactly why I made a big deal about having everything flat. So, as you can see, all the screws here, let me get you in the sun. Okay, so all the screws here are all pretty much level with the board. But what that also meant was that the screws I was using were too long, so I had to go by and cut and grind every single screw. Now the back side of it, the reason why I did that was so, again, like I've said once or twice in the video already, I don't want to have to worry about stabbing myself. So I want these all to be relatively smooth and easy, so it's less likely I'm going to either stab myself or cut myself. Here's the weed fabric that I'm using on this project, and the thing you have to remember is this thing is literally woven plastic threads, which, if you do not do this right, will unfurl on you and leave threads everywhere. You can sort of kind of make out that thread right here that didn't get melted. So in order to try to make this a clean cut and limit those threads until after I get everything installed, I use this, and it's just your simple butane torch. This has the soldering iron tip on it, and all I did was, as I pulled it out, I cut off with the heat the amount that I needed, and it melts the ends and keeps them from unfurling for the most part. There you have it. The back side is finished. And the holes have been burned in where the screws go. And this is what I was talking about by the way you finish it. So this is a little bit over on, there's more on this side than the other side. So all I did was folded it over a couple times, and then before I stapled it in. So this is where I said you can do this without burning the landscape fabric. You just have to end it right so that you won't end up with a bunch of tattered threads, because if you end it like this, where there's this hanging out, that will become frayed. So that just saves you a little bit of trouble, and this shouldn't really be messed with too much, because once it's put together, it really won't matter. But I'm a little bit extra, so I'm going a little OCD with it. And here you have it, my completed brand new compost bin made out of pallets. Now the only thing is to get it over to where I need it, which is where the other compost bin is at. As you can see, you got the cover on top, we got the plastic down, what is it, weed fabric, that's what I'm looking for, weed fabric, and it's all buttoned up, and I think it looks rather nice. Smaller and height wise than the other pallets, but it fits within my HOA guidelines. And that's the front door. So Oh, I'm glad I finally have it done. Like I said, it's still got some effort in putting it into place, but it's done. So thank you for taking this entire trip with me. If you're watching this from start to finish, I couldn't be happier with the end results. Here we go. Let's see over here on the other side of it. Like I said, this will be the back. So, like I said, you can set your mind to it. You can do it. Yes, I could have bought straight perfect boards and everything else, and it would have been a lot faster project. Would have had to figure out a little bit of adjustments, a little bit less, but all this wood here was free. And now it'll serve a purpose for years to come. So I'm very, very satisfied. So, I don't know if you could tell, I kind of made more work for myself than I probably needed to, but as much as I might complain or gripe or have a headache because I was thinking way too much, I would rather overdo something and it'd be way more than I need than underdo it and then get to a point where it's just like, why didn't I just take that extra effort and do yada yada yada, because I wouldn't be dealing with this issue, whatever you want to insert. So for me, while yes, my body is wanting to kick my ever-loving ass right now, later on, said body will be like, you know what, maybe that wasn't so bad. So do as I say, not as I do sometimes, I guess. So, and there's no sense in pushing your body harder than it needs to be done. But since I'm a glut for my own punishment, sometimes that lesson or that rule must be ignored. And I will not sit there and act like this was the easiest of projects to tackle, which is probably why I put it off for as long as I did. I still got to move the compost to the storage area over here and tear down the old compost bin, and also all the tomatoes that I allowed to grow around there, level out that ground over there as well, and then get it over there. So there's still some work to do, but like I said, the rest of it is easy compared to the construction of the new compost bin. If this helped you, or if you found this enjoyable or entertaining, please let me know down in the comment section. And if this is your first time seeing any of my videos, please check them out, and I would love for you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You don't have to, maybe a thumbs up, but yeah, it's all love, man. Just trying to spread my own information the way I do it, which sometimes goes against the grain, but that's just me. Sometimes I go with the flow, sometimes I go against it. Depends on what kind of mood I wake up in the morning. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I don't know, I'm just glad it's over and done with, because now I have something nice and sturdy that I can sit there and say that I did by myself, and I didn't just go buy something and have everything already put together for you or instructions included. Turn that waste into something you can use. Sometimes sweat equity beats monetary value. Just remember that. I'm your boy, Big Wheel Dog 82, in the soil, and I'm out of here, guys. See you later. Next thing on the list, beer 30 and grill.